A lot happened last time that... Well, actually not much really happened. A car blew up, and that's pretty much what happened. I don't know who to start with, honestly. I kinda wanna start with Maria. I wanna see what's up with this cane man. I walk counter to the throng of people heading toward the scene of the explosion. Happened in Shibuya Jinan Ichome, near the intersection of Kondori and Organ Hill. Okay. Gun pressed against my back, leaving me no choice but to continue marching forward. I don't have time for this right now. Something I need to do. Frantic sense of urgency grows and grows. Cannon. The only clue I have is that name. The other hazy snippets that have surfaced in my memory provide no answers. Just tell me, do you know who I am? The man with the cane doesn't answer. I stop in my tracks. Gotta start shouting. Want to find out who you are, then do as I say. Ugh. Barrel of the gun jabs more forcefully into my back. If we find a Tomiosawa, you'll remember whether you like it or not. No choice but to keep moving, then. Are your memories really that precious to you? The man mutters as we start to move again. Taken back by the question. Well, yes, I mean, isn't that pretty normal? It's a bit of a pause before he replies, his voice sad and distant. Not gonna remember just the good times, you know. What do you mean? I mean that sad and painful memories are gonna resurface too. Guess I hadn't really thought about that. Whatever kind of memories they are, they're all a part of me. I'm the person I am now because of the sorrow and pain too. I want to remember. Want to remember who I am. Directs me dispassionately along a series of quiet side streets. Right here. I stop at his words. In front of us is an old multi-tenant office building. Ride the elevator to the 8th floor. Then use the emergency exit to take the stairs up to the rooftop. Cool breeze blows across my cheek. Sit down there. Do as he says, settling myself on the outdoor air conditioning unit. The man lowers his gun but keeps it in hand. We'll wait here for a bit. How long? Is that a rueful chuckle? Guess we'll have to wait and see. There's no point in trying to fight with him. I have to hope that he's telling the truth, and whatever's coming will help me get my memories back. If I don't know about my past, how can I know what to do about this canon stuff, or anything else? Stare up at the sky as I wait for whatever the assassin is waiting for. Silence between us is suffocating. Can't take it any longer. I think this is yours. Well, the notebook I picked up earlier. Man's surprise is playing on his face. Where did you get that? I saw the picture inside. That's just the book out of my hand. Flips through it, looking sad. Pray that another agonizing silence is about to descend when he speaks at last. This is a picture of me and my childhood friends. His voice is low and quiet. We were inseparable back when we were kids. Boy here, he liked to fiddle with machines, always doing things like taking apart radios and whatnot and putting them back together. He's a total bookworm too, so he got picked on a lot. But I was always there to save him from the bullies. Ooh, is that Achi's dad? All of a sudden, the guy's in a sharing mood, I guess. It feels aura of murderous rage starting to abate. Girl here was the same age as us, but she felt more like a big sister. Whatever stupid things my other friend and I got up to, she was always willing to laugh it off. I don't know if this is actually a choice. I decided to keep quiet and keep listening. Both had a thing for her. Bashful little smile came to his face. We were in high school, she told me she liked me too, so the two of us started dating. But, just have to ask, what about the other guy? Never said anything. Sure how he felt deep down. Oh, alright. So, then is she your wife now? No, we broke up not too long afterward. Carefully slips the notebook into the pocket inside his jacket. How come? It's nothing in particular, really. Things just didn't work out. It's had a little chuckle, then stands up and brushes the dust off his pants. He looks strangely lonely. Really? Alrighty, okay. I guess. It's probably talking about Achi's parents though, right? Right? Probably the way through is either through Achi or Kano's story. Maybe. I don't know, sometimes the jumps are a bit weird and random, so let's try Achi's story then. Achi could hear ambulance and police sirens wailing on the main road. Looked down and Itomi slumped on a park bench beside him. Sure you're not hurt? Offering her a bottle of water. I'm okay. Thanks. I think I managed to calm down some. And the color had finally returned to her face. Sighed at minivan. Maria wasn't in there. There was relief in her voice, but also enough of pathos. I gotta look through it in the windshield. There was a man laid out in the back seat, but nobody else. Dark cloud lifted from Achi's face. So it wasn't your sister. I didn't see his face. Just that he was wearing a business suit. Felt the tension ebbing from his body. It's good then that it wasn't her. I've been worried. Still kind of sucks for Tanaka though. Shame about the poor devil who had been killed though, yeah. Who wasn't? Why had he been there? Guess now we're out of leads. Tomi murmured as she hung her head. Could try the surveillance center again for now. Probably give us better odds of finding your sister than just walking around. Yes, you're right. Shall we? Hold on. Sudden flash of inspiration. My house is a lot closer from here. Should ask my dad if we can check the cameras from home. Can do that? You have the same system at our house. I'm sure my dad will let us use them. Got up and headed for Endo Electronics. Decided to let his father know that they were coming. He turned on his phone as they walked along. He had it off for a while, so first he checked his voicemail. Wondering who might have called, he played it back. This is Achi Endo's personal cell phone. This is Dr. Saeki from Shibuya Central Hospital. Seiichi Saeki, heart specialist in Suzune's attending physician, permanent surgeon who has been successfully performed the Batista procedure. Left ventricles reconstructed after a third of it has been removed. Achi's expression stiffened. Pushed the phone closer to his ear. There's been a sudden change in Suzune's condition. Tried calling her home as well, but got no answer. Achi felt the edges of his vision growing dim. As her brother, it would be good if you can come to the hospital as soon as possible. It's... Achi. Tomi's voice was full of concern. Sorry, I just gotta make a call here. Fingers trembling, Achi dialed his house. Rang several times before switching over to the answering machine. Damn it. How are you, Dad? What's wrong? It's Suzune. It sounds like things have gotten pretty bad. You need to get to the hospital right away. Sounded as anxious as Achi was. Can't go just yet, Joga said quietly. First we have to save your sister. Bristled angrily at that. What are you talking about? She grabbed Achi by the arm and shook him. Right now you need to be thinking about your sister. I can't. I made a promise to Suzune. Promise to help people. See things through to the end when something important is on the line. I struggled to get the words out. If I break that promise, I really am no good to her. Tomi didn't look like she was going to back down. Get back here! So any shout rung out from nearby. Saw a boy about high school age bolting out from behind a building on a side street. Several slightly older young men were hot on his heels. Their faces all too well, they were members of SOS. Uh-oh. Caught their quarry just before he could make it out onto the main road. Gotcha, newbie. Kid they were after must have been a member too. Let me go. Let you go, alright. After you pay up. One of the young men snatched a boy by the collar and shoved him against the wall of a nearby building. What are you talking about? Plain dumb, huh? Told you... that members all have to pay monthly dues, yeah? Privilege of getting to call yourself SOS doesn't come free, after all. Felt his blood boil. Trying to pull a shakedown on this new kid under the disguise of calling it dues. Slang for extortion, full-fledged crime. The direct shakedown, give me all your money, punk, is quite unpleasant. More roundabout ways of being shaken down can still leave a bad taste in one's mouth. Surrounded on the street by 8 people in pompadours who said, begging your pardon, but could you please hand over your money? Might suffer no physical harm, but would still be the victim of a shakedown. It would have been unthinkable for them to do something like this back when Achi was running the show. Hey, let the kid go. Say what now? Turn to look, their faces immediately going pale. Hey, Achi. Let him go. This is glare on the fellow holding the kid until he releases his grip. Guy's always going around doing stuff like this. None of the gang members answered. Turned their gazes glumly to the ground. Hey, since when have they been doing this? Of course he realized there was no way the newbie would be able to tell him. Never mind, you can go. Boy was quick to run off. Waited until the boy was gone before turning back to the others. Does somebody know you're collecting dues like this? Yeah, we don't gotta tell you that. Not since you deserted. What did you just say? Leaning close, getting right in the guy's face, he was met with a defiant sneer. This ain't the old SOS anymore. Not the old SOS. Thought back to the other gang member he run into earlier with the malicious gleam in his eyes. Kiryu. Shitty Kiryu. Yeah, that guy. Pretty sure he said his name was Kiryu? Back when Achi had been with SOS, he never let a guy like that get away with acting all high and mighty. Heard a voice from behind him. Oh well. in our legendary founder. Ow. An instant later, he took a hard blow to the side of the head. I was just looking for some small fry, but looks like it landed me a big one. Ouch. Hachi said swam, his vision fading in and out. This is a bad end. This feels like it would be a bad end. Or he had a chance to recover, something smashed into his knee. Ow. Oh! Wait, what's going on with Hitomi though? Oh no. The lady crumbled on the ground, unable to retaliate as kicks and punches rained down on him. Even after Achi could no longer move, the beating didn't stop. His ruptured eardrums can barely make out the sound of Hitomi screaming. Jesus Christ. Hitomi, run. His final plea silenced before it reached his lips. Achi felt his consciousness battered away. What the fuck? Okay. Kiryu's ambush. Turned up out of nowhere and gave Achi a beatdown with a piece of timber. Ow. Just before he attacked Achi, he had run into someone else. Said something that changed what Kiryu did. Needs to say something different to ensure Kiryu doesn't go to Dogen Saga while Achi and Hitomi are there. Okay. It's probably either Kano or Minorikawa. I guess Minorikawa is looking into SOS, so... Let's try Minorikawa then. Needed to get back to the editing office right away. Despite the urgency, he barely stumbled along. Swaying on his feet, only half aware of where he was even going. No, this is some sick joke, right? Because he thinks Toyama is dead. He's not, though. Just couldn't accept that Toyama was dead. Let out a lifeless sigh. A cynical smile crept onto his face. Man always did insist on having his own way, like killing himself. Back when he was still a novice reporter, Minorikawa had written a piece about a middle school girl who'd committed suicide. He made a statement denying that bullying had been a factor, and so most of the media had reported she had suffered a nervous breakdown over entrance exams. Period of mental illness, manifesting as panic disorder, stress-induced anxiety, or the like. Commonly referred to serious health issues such as schizophrenia or bipolar disorder or manic depression, as well as the buildup of more minor stresses. It's part of everyday life because it is so broadly and vaguely defined, generally avoided in psychiatric contexts. Something about the case that kept nagging at him. Had her death really been a suicide? The more people he interviewed about the incident, the more his doubts grew. City news editor, however, would not allow him to conduct a follow-up investigation. The reason why was simple. This was the sort of thing that happened every day. Couldn't waste their time on a case that was already on the books. It's more important for a reporter to find new stories than squander time engrossed in a case that was old news. It sucks though. Minorikawa understood the editor's decision well enough. Didn't mean he had to like it. Slugging up on the roof, slowly nursing a cigarette when the paper's local news copy editor Toyama happened to drop by. At a newspaper, an employee who evaluates the quality and suitability of reporters' copy and coverage. Effectively the boss of a group of reporters, copy editor typically works under a section editor who has the final say in what makes the page. Middle management position caught between upstart reporters and an angry section chief. Did they say no to the follow-up interviews about that girl's suicide? Killed herself was Chiharu Fuyusuki. After reading her diary, Minorikawa became convinced it wasn't an ordinary suicide. 6 years from now, Minorikawa will run into a certain teacher And the investigation into the student's death will be reopened, but that's another story for another time. Certain teacher. Hitomi's teacher, maybe? I don't know, I can't think of any other teachers in this game. Mr. Leyland Palmer. Yeah. Norikawa expelled a plume of smoke along with his sigh. Nothing tasted quite as bad as a cigarette when he was down in the dumps. What are you gonna do? Not gonna do anything. Editor told me no. Oh, editor said not to. You sound like a child. The rebuff made Minorikawa's temper flare. There are other interviews to do. I want to follow up on this, but there isn't any time. Ah, fuck. You dumbass! Toyama hauled off and hit him right across the face. What happened to I write what I feel in my heart? That's the one thing I refuse to back down on. What happened to the guy who used to bitch at me like that? Toyama's words hit their mark with painful precision. Interviews aren't over until you have what you need. No, you refuse to let them be over. Go after the truth no matter what anyone tells you. Isn't that what being a journalist is all about? Scowled in chagrin. Man was exactly right. Man, Toyama. Been through a lot. Till you have what you need. Those words had stuck with Minorikawa ever since. But the paper to become a freelancer because he couldn't do the job he wanted while trapped in that hierarchy. Now he wondered, what if Toyama hadn't killed himself, but instead been the victim of a terrorist attack? But after considering the idea for a moment, he thought betterly, so what? The reasons and details hardly mattered at this point. What mattered was that Toyama was dead. Sat down listlessly and stared up at the sky. Blank swaths of blue made him feel all the more worn out. Just what had all of the days running around been for? Oh, he felt so empty, so hollowed out by loss. All his motivation had drained away, had no idea what he should do next. Hey, Minoru Minorikawa, what should you do? Try to listen to his inner voice. You need to talk to Hana. Because the player knows that Toyama wasn't the guy in the car. So, you need to talk to Hana. I think so, yeah. Stand up. Right now, you need to forge ahead. Yeah. That was his only option, really. Couldn't just let things end like this. Still didn't have what he needed for his article, so... Took a deep breath, readying to get back on his feet. For he could, however, a young man stumbled across his path, taking a nasty fall on the pavement. Damn, that hurts. Scrambled back up to his feet and turned to Minorikawa with a snarl. Oh dear. What are you looking at, pal? Young man clutched a piece of timber like a club. There was a nasty gleam in his eyes. Not looking at anything. I just happened to be looking in your direction. Shut your yap. Apologize, bitch. Now. Punked raised his cudgel. What for? He tripped me, man. You gonna apologize for that? Kid had stumbled all on his own, but was probably too embarrassed to admit it. Guess he gotta vent his anger at someone. Listen, kid. It's not my fault you're such a klutz. You know, like the pedal in the car that's got a manual transmission? Oh, that's a clutch. Okay, so you're then like lumps of earth or clay. Those are clawed, you say? Right then, so we're talking about a sort of social get-together for coffee and conversation. Alright, that's like clash. Is it when you... is it when you try to fix something using stuff that isn't really meant for that purpose? That's a clutch? Okay. What a weird little tooltip. Okay. All you just say to me? Got a death wish, pal. Advanced on him, brandishing his weapon. Hey. Kiryu did kill Achi in the other route, so... What do I say here? That doesn't get Minorikawa killed, and doesn't get Achi killed. Ugh. Is it fun hitting people with that thing? I just want to check. Okay, the bad end is gone. Okay. Crown of the Punk's mouth curled up. Oh yeah, real fun. Only a dumbass beats people with their bare hands. Just wind up hurting your fist. If you're gonna enjoy some violence, you gotta have yourself a weapon. This guy sucks. Aha, I see. Give it a rest with that stick, yeah. Punk scowled in irritation. Don't get me wrong. It's gotta be better weapons than that. Something that could take a man out in a single blow. Stop to consider Minorikawa's words for a moment. Get ya? Yeah. You might be right about that. I think I have just the thing. May as well go with my usual. Really? Okay. Toss away a piece of wood on the side of the road. Don't you go anywhere until I get back. Got it? Sure thing. Watched as the punk headed back the way he'd come. Man, what a dumbass. Looked around, he spotted a taxi parked close by. Is it my friend? Yep. Fucking love Kimizuka. Best fucking side character in this game. Do you need a ride, sir? All politeness as he opened the back door. Personal chauffeur. If you're heading to the publishing office again, I can get there in 10 minutes. Kimizuka's driving was as smooth as always, but he rode his way skillfully through a series of back streets. Some big explosion earlier. Main roads are all gridlocked. Yeah, I was there when it happened. Really? Glad to see you're not hurt then. What a terrible thing, that minivan. Someone was inside it when it exploded. Not sure if you were aware. Yeah, I'm aware. Nothing gets past a reporter like you, I see. Did they like publicly announce that I was Tanaka already? I don't know. Kimizuka flashed Minorikawa an approving smile through the rearview mirror. How much have you heard then? Rumor has it that the person who died was a middle-aged man. Huh. Taxi drivers tend to hear quite a bit ourselves. Kimizuka chuckled, but Minorikawa just cast his eyes down forlornly. You look tired, sir. Yeah. I guess so. The reply was barely audible. Someone rushed out onto the street right in front of the cab. Achi. Look out. Oh. There's a heavy thunk as the taxi crashed into the pedestrian. Achi, what happened? Achi keeps dying. He needs to stop dying, please. Okay. Screeching to a halt, Kimizuka and Minorikawa jumped out of the vehicle to find a young man splayed out on the street. Hey, you alright? Oh no, he's dead. Practically still a kid and he wasn't moving. Hunkered down and jostled his shoulder. Expression stiffened in alarm. Checked the young man's pulse but couldn't detect any heartbeat. Oh no, this is... turned to him in surprise. You knew him. I did. Cradled the young man in his arms. I'm sorry, but you'll have to find yourself another taxi. Going to turn myself in to the police. Aw, Kimizuka! Looking down at the boy's unmoving form, Minorikawa felt a pang of guilt. No, I'm the one I've been asking you to drive around so recklessly all day. This is on me too. But I'll go with you to the cops. Head to the station together to surrender themselves. Wouldn't be time to work on writing articles while they were being interrogated, but that was just how it had to be. This was the right thing to do. Norikawa just had to keep telling himself that, knowing that it was the truth. Fuck. Surrender to the police. Ended in disaster when the taxi was riding hit a young man, Achi, who ran out into the street. Why did the kid rush out onto the intersection like that? The answer lies in Achi's story, you don't fucking say. Hasn't even been an hour yet, and Achi's died twice. Seemed like all these young fellows were ready to follow suit, eager to take him down a peg. Old news, pal. Ain't your business to tell us how to do things. Using a flood of anger and sadness he couldn't quite control. Not messing around here, you guys. Grabbed the nearest punk by the collar and hefted him up in the air. Someone shouted from behind him. What are you doing? Put the guy down and turned around to see Susumu standing there. Tell me what's just going on here, Achi. Lashed his underlings a sharp glare. Took to their heels. He needed to talk to Susumu. Don't run after them. I think that's how you get run over by a car, right? Yeah, the keep out is gone. Or not the keep out, the bad end is gone. What the hell is going on with SOS? He needed to talk to Susumu. That's what was going on here. Straightening note in Susumu's voice. That's what I want to know. What else happened to SOS, man? Twisted with displeasure. You're an outsider now. It's none of your business. I don't give a damn if it's my business or not. When I left you in charge of SOS, Shut your damn mouth. That's right, you left me in charge. So don't you dare give me any lip about how I run things. Sudden ferocity left Achi at a loss for words. You're not the one busting your ass out here, I am. Stalked toward Achi, his face red with emotion. They worked so hard to keep things going like with you gone. Do you have an idea what it's been like? Do you know what I've had to put myself through to keep SOS together? Nothing Achi could say to that. Kept his mouth shut and let Susumu talk. You were gone. Thought maybe I could do things like you did. Oops. All at once, Susumu seemed to deflate a little. He hung his head, hiding his face. And if I couldn't be like you, then... Man, I get it, and I'm sorry. Susumu kept his face averted. Please. Stay out of our business. Turned on his heel and headed off without looking back. Watched him leave, feeling a painful sting. Man. Achi, he told me asked after Susumu was gone. Are you sure you're okay leaving things like this? Achi shrugged heavily. Susumu said he's doing what he can. It's not my place to butt in. Turned his back on Hitomi, but he still needed a moment. Achi, you're being unreasonable. About what? Felt like he'd been wounded to his very core and he wasn't sure what to do about it. Want to help people who are in trouble, right? Yeah, I guess. I'm in a whole lot of trouble right now. I know that. No, Achi, you don't. Tomi's tone was clipped and firm. Please, go to your sister. What are you talking about? That doesn't matter now. Yes, it does. Tomi's shout stopped him in his tracks. Achi, right now the thing I'm having the most trouble with is that you won't go to the hospital. Don't you get it? How can I possibly be happy with you helping me if you... Way off, why? This is a very serious moment. Hi, way off trail. God damn it, okay. We're having a very serious moment here. Achi already died twice. And y'all are spamming my sound alerts. Well, not spamming. I know y'all can be worse, so... Don't you get it? How can I possibly be happy with you helping me if you have to sacrifice your own sister to do it? Achi couldn't answer that, and he knew it. Please, go to the hospital. I'm asking you to, and I'm definitely someone in trouble, so... It doesn't count as breaking your promise, right? I appreciate that. Thing about this game... If you don't... I feel like this game really wants us to focus on the case. Because I think most of like Kano's bad ends were like, if you get distracted, like going to see Rumi's dad or something, you get a bad end. So I don't know. That being said, Achi's focus has been mostly on the cane man who wanted Tomi for some reason. Trying to process this in my head, I think if we go see Suzune... I don't know. Because they were talking before about how Suzune has, Bombay blood. I'm just gonna go with my gut. How about we drop by the hospital for a bit? The emotions Achi had been trying to hide now came welling to the surface. Go see Suzune, and after that we can look for your sister. That be okay with you? That would be more than okay with me. At long last, he told me smiled at him. Back in sync with each other, Achi and Hitomi headed to the hospital. Shibuya Central Hospital was one of the foremost general hospitals in Japan, outfitted with top-notch medical facilities and staffed by highly skilled personnel. Individuals like Suzune with rare blood types were sent to the hospital from far and wide because of its cutting-edge hematology center. Deals with blood, high-end care to patients with blood disorders, including blood screening treatments, transfusions, management and supply of blood products, and other related services. I think doing this, they mentioned something about like an organ trafficking ring. Maybe learn something about that then. Asked Hitomi to stay in the waiting area while he headed on into the hospital proper. Visitor's entrance, he passed by the nurse's station, entered the cardiovascular medicine section, and walked along a row of examination rooms. The cardiovascular system includes the heart as well as the various blood vessels that circulate blood throughout the body. Deals with heart and blood issues such as angina, heart attacks, heart failure, irregular pulse, and the like. He walked by the first room as quietly as possible, catching sight of a mother and a daughter sitting together in the chairs in the hallway. The mother was crying softly. "Takia, he's only 15, she murmured under her breath. The name Takia didn't ring a bell. It's only 15 I got a reaction of Achi. Only 15. Couldn't imagine anything good coming after that. Be cruelly taken away when one was still so young. Could feel the woman's pain as deeply as if it were his own. He reached Suzune's room. Dr. Saeki, the attending physician, explained her condition. Did his best to keep his explanation simple, but Achi was too worked up to process much of what he said. He managed to wrap his head around a few things. 10 o'clock that morning, Suzune had a seizure. For a while it had been touch and go, but finally her condition had stabilized. And she hadn't regained consciousness yet. She wasn't allowed any visitors. That was just as far as Achi could tell. What's your father doing today? Still hasn't come by, Dr. Saeki said. Wasn't sure what to tell him. Certainly odd. There's no way his father wouldn't have rushed right to the hospital if he heard Suzune had taken a turn for worse. Give you a call when she's woken up. For now, you can head home for today. Alright. Please keep a close eye on her, Doctor. Somberly went to find Hitomi in the waiting area. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Outpatient reception had closed for the day, leaving the hospital quiet. His footsteps echoed softly in the corridors. Peculiar sound drew his attention. Come from over by the base of a nearby stairwell. Took a peek around the corner. Oh! Is that Cannon? And Jack Stanley? I think so. Sight that greeted him nearly made him gasp aloud. Dim light ahead he saw Cannon. He had some white guy pressed against the wall, a knife to his throat. Yanked his head out of view. Could it be? Was this the man Cannon said she was after? Was this the urge to go charging out there? Heading in a half-cocked might... Some amateur heading in half-cocked might will be more of a liability to Cannon than any sort of help. Heard her mutter something to the man in English. We know nothing about Alphard's background, nationality, sex, age. Could barely make out the words, but since it was all in English, he had no idea what it meant. We do know that whoever they are, they have connections to Langley. Oh. Just... ooh... Slang for the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, headquartered in Langley, Virginia. Similar to referring to the Japanese government as Nagatacho. The CIA has other nicknames including the company, the agency, the second government, the invisible government, and the coup makers. Right, because I'm pretty sure Stanley is CIA. I don't know if they mentioned, they flat out said he was CIA, but I'm pretty sure he's CIA. Peeked out again very cautiously. Time to see the man raise an eyebrow at Cannon's words. Interesting. Doesn't mean you need to threaten me at knife point, though. Flashed her a thin smile. Does, actually. As I happen to know that you're a CIA agent, yeah. Man. Technically known as officers, refers to its own spies as agents. Someone in charge of directing agents is called a case officer. Stationed at embassies across the world in the public guise of diplomats, soldiers, and the like. No sooner were Cannon's words out than the man grabbed her arm and tried to hurl her against the wall. Just before her head connected, though, she jackknifed her upper body forward, then planted both feet against the wall and kicked off with tremendous force. You're not gonna shout us? Please, come on. He was already at knife point already. She used her momentum to launch herself forward, regaining her position with her knife against the man's throat. Gun. During his brief opening, the man had managed to draw a gun from his jacket. The barrel was pressed right against Cannon's heart. Y'all can't do murder at a hospital. swallowed the lump in his throat. How about we call a truce? She withdrew her knife. Yeah, sounds like you and me are both after the same thing. Likewise lowered his gun. Faint smile, Cannon turned her back on him and vanished down the adjacent stairwell. No idea what had just happened. Stopped fighting though, so this guy probably isn't Cannon's mastermind after all. Only Achi spoke a little English, he might have been able to follow her conversation. I kind of feel like someone's about to appear behind Achi here. Found himself wishing he'd taken school more seriously. Decided the man too had disappeared. Guess not. Tommy stood up from her chair as Achi hurried into the waiting area. How's Suzune? She's not in any immediate danger, they said. That's good to hear. But more importantly, Cannon was here just now. What? Why? Not sure. Not smart enough to figure that out. Oh, right. Because Cannon got knocked out by the van explosion. And Stanley took her to the hospital so he could question her. Right. That makes sense. Not sure. Not smart enough to figure that out. Slumped his shoulders. Huh? What? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Exactly. Couldn't understand what she was saying. Can't even figure out how to get through to Hitomi. Just tell her that they were speaking English. May I have a moment? Spoke unexpectedly from behind Achi. Stanley. Breath caught in his throat as he turned around. Standing there was the man Cannon had been struggling with. What's up? Try to sound nonchalant as possible. Looking at Achi. Oh shit, right. They're after Maria, though. They're after Maria. But, right, because Stanley knows that... Stanley would know that Hitomi has the antiviral on her somehow. I don't think he knows exactly how she has it, though. That it's, like, in her blood. Uh-oh. You're Hitomi Osawa, is that right? Yeah? Hey, keep your distance. Step protectively in front of Hitomi. This guy, he's not what he looks like. Clenched his fist and adopted a defensive posture. Huh? Achi said, I think mentioning Cannon right here, by name, is a bad idea. I don't know who he is, but he's not our friend. Reached into his jacket pocket. Might be about to draw his gun, braced for action, in a hospital. Oh no. My name is Jack Stanley. Also, his signature is John Hancock. Couldn't get like an actual signature for like Jack Stanley? Okay. Name is Jack Stanley, Security Assistance Officer with the US Embassy. Held back his punch as the man held out his ID card. Why is your signature head John Hancock? Are issued diplomatic passports and diplomatic ID cards by their home governments. Ministry of Foreign Affairs also issues its own form of diplomatic identification card. CIA provides such identification to its operatives working overseas to help maintain their false identities. Embassy? What does someone from the US Embassy want with me? Being targeted by a dangerous criminal. I'm here to take you into protective custody. Custody? Buzz up, pal. We're busy here. Busy searching for Maria Osawa. Exchanged glances. know full details of the trouble you currently find yourselves in. Alright then. You should know we don't have time to get taken into custody. You don't understand the situation we're dealing with. We're up against a dangerous international criminal here. Taking reckless action is only gonna put our life in danger. Don't be a fool, this is no time to play the knight in shining armor. Hey. Achi was infuriated, but he couldn't think of a comeback. It's true, you told me I'd run into danger time and again while, she was with him. But I'm already safe. I'm only here because Achi has been protecting me. She eyed Stanley sharply. I got Achi with me. I don't need your protection. He felt a surge of pride that practically brought tears to his eyes. Told me I'd let him. He had given her an enormous hug. Stanley grimaced in resignation. Alright. In that case, how about I join your search for Maria? I can keep you safe that way instead. I don't know. Grabbed hold of Achi's sleeve. This Achi fellow didn't have the most trustworthy face, Achi thought. Realized he might be biased after being chased around by foreigners all day. After all, if this guy were really after Hitomi, he'd probably made a show of force. Not only did he have a gun on him, he was sufficiently skilled in martial arts to hold his own against cannon. He'd have no trouble taking down a single unarmed opponent like Achi. Get the impression the Stanley guy is not our enemy right now. Alright. I trust your judgment on this, Achi. What's the plan from here? Not wandering aimlessly around town, I hope. Trace of snidiness in his voice. You can just keep your mouth shut. We can wander around town all day if we feel like it. Two can play the snarky game, he thought to himself. Poor Tommy looks distressed. That's what you want, I can stay quiet. Need to inform the police that I have Miss Osawa in my custody. Wait, hold on. That isn't a good idea. Why's that? Since you already seem to know most of the story, explain the kidnapper's threat and describe the search for the minivan. Please just fucking communicate. Communicate so we all know what's going on. Remain quiet, listening with obvious interest. See. Still, when that minivan exploded, didn't that make your promise to the kidnappers a moot point? I suppose it did, didn't it? Let me just ask one more question. Do either of you know a detective by the name of Tachino? No, we haven't run into any detectives. The only folks we seem to run into are guys who are after Hitomi. See. I'm gonna get in touch with the investigation task force. I'll have them contact your parents for you. Would you mind speaking with them so they confirm it's really you? Alright. You're not gonna tell them how, the syndicate released, Maria into their city? Stanley got on his wireless and described their current circumstances to the police. I feel like we're about to hit a keep out. Uh-oh. Mr. Endo, hold on. Dr. Saiki appeared running down the hallway. There's something I forgot to tell you regarding your father. Oh? Got a call from him yesterday afternoon. Something rather odd. Keep out? No. Preparations for a transplant? I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure what I understand what you're asking. Clutched a receiver. Daisuke Endo's brooding tone was more than a little disturbing. This is all just difficult to talk about, Doctor. Please forget I said anything. One important thing I wanted to let you know. Fuck, okay. Did Achi's dad call a hit? Okay. Okay. There's gonna be a brain dead woman coming your way at. Are like the three people in the K-Man's like journal. I'm guessing, well, one is obviously the K-Man, who I'm pretty sure is Tatsuno. The other two must be like, well, the other guy must be Achi's dad then. So Achi's dad called a hit on Hitomi. Called a hit on Hitomi. K-Man slash probably Tatsuno is carrying out that hit, and they want her heart for Suzune, I think? They need to confirm, like, what Hitomi's blood type is. If she also has Bombay blood, then absolutely. It's probably there's gonna be a brain dead woman coming your way at probably around 9 o'clock this evening, I expect. Her blood type is Bombay. Extremely rare blood type that Endo's daughter Suzune possessed. Any transplant donor for Suzune would also need to have Bombay blood type. As the same blood type as Suzune, to transplant itself is an issue. Whether the procedure can be done within the limited time window. Need to trouble you, but I just called because I think it would be best to prepare for the surgery as soon as possible. Yeah. The more Sayaki heard, the more disturbed he grew, listening to this man go on about some strange delusion. Doctor, please, just take good care of Suzune. That Endo hung up. Kept quiet as he listened to Dr. Sayaki tell his story. That was yesterday, and I still haven't heard anything about a brain-dead girl coming up. Only God would know when someone would wind up in a state of brain death. Still, there was just something very strange about what your father said. It was as if he was certain that someone was going to wind up brain dead, or... Stop right there. Stanley and Hitomi turned in surprise. They were still in the middle of their wireless call to the police. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to imply your father would hurt someone. What I'm worried about is your father's mental state, and... No, that's not it. His own words from earlier spun within his head. So long as we have these cameras, this guy has nowhere to run. Yeah. Fuck. Gears are turning in Nachi's head. Security cameras. Surely if the Kane guy's been in like direct contact with Achi's dad, then surely Achi's dad would see that Achi has been with Hitomi this entire time then. Surely. The man with the cane, he'd been on the phone with someone. That didn't mean anything. It's just a coincidence. Couldn't be true. Searched desperately for some other explanation. That was it. Anyone from downtown committee could have used the camera monitoring room, but the guy said that no one's been using it all day. Yeah, no one's been by to check today. Nothing wrong with a little nap, yeah? No dice. No one from downtown had been by the surveillance room today. Couldn't be. It couldn't. Began to tremble. Is something the matter? Achi, you're pale as a ghost. Achi gazed beseechingly back into her face. Just one simple question, you could clear this whole thing up. Please tell me I'm overthinking this. Prayed inwardly before asking. He told me, would you mind telling me your blood type? Why do you ask? Please, just tell me. I have a sort of weird blood type. Yeah. It's called Bombay. Yeah. Then how would Achi's dad know that she had Bombay blood type then? How would he know? I don't think it would be like public knowledge or anything. I don't know. I don't know how he would know that. Last piece of the puzzle fell into place. There's no longer any room for doubt. Found himself facing a sad and painful truth. Why? Why? It was an English scream. Achi punched the wall as hard as he could, but his fist still didn't hurt as much as his heart. Dad, why? I think you need to talk to your dad, buddy. Well, that explains Cane Man. Well, Achi's done. There wasn't any jumps in Achi's. Well, that was last time block. Maria still has a keep out. Minarikawa's bad end is gone, so see if we can continue with him then. Minarikawa's depressing story. Don't kill Achi this time. Stopped outside Heaven Publishing, left a 1,000-yen bill on the seat and exited the cab. Stumbling his way towards the building when someone called out to him. Mr. Minarikawa. Or, oh. Osawa. What are you doing here? Wait, I'm curious now. Hold on. I didn't think you'd leave the house. Okay. I don't want to know how people feel. All I want to know is what viruses feel. I prefer viruses because they make no move to encroach on me from the other side of my microscope. They leave me free to let my thoughts wander as I wish. And while it may be true to say I understand viruses, I've never been able to understand my fellow humans. I don't know them. I don't know a single fundamental thing about them. Tanaka dead, trying to use the backup passwords for the fingerprint scanner had become a hopeless endeavor. The only remaining means of gaining entry to the storage area was to issue an emergency unlock request to the electronic lock manufacturer. To do that, they need approval from the 6 members of the board of directors. Turning to his study, Osawa called Makino's personal cell phone. What is it? informed them of the situation, including Tanaka's death and the fact that Maria was infected. Thus Makino at a loss for words. Please, need to hold an emergency board meeting. Silent for a few moments. Afraid I can't do that. Why not? Just gonna sit by and let my daughter die? Not just her, if Maria goes symptomatic. That's still only an if, but Sao is reluctant to put his fear into words. If she goes symptomatic, the Ua virus will sweep through all of Tokyo. I realize that, but one of the board members is overseas on business. Holding a meeting is impossible. Despite the gravity of the situation, he sounded astoundingly nonchalant. Couldn't back down now. Must be some other option, like a web conference or something. Doesn't help us if we can't get in touch with him. He went missing a few days ago in the middle of his business trip. Probably one of Alphard's schemes. Koshi's Pharmaceuticals New York branch had been missing since April 25th, 9 p.m. local time. No demands for a ransom, and so the New York Police Department is investigating the possibility of some other form of foul play. He's probably dead, honestly. Almost too appalled to be angry. That's the most ridiculous lie I've ever heard. Should I just speak to my on-site contact if you don't believe me? It's like arguing with a child. Deliberately working against him, he'd never know if this disappearance was real or not. Would you please appoint a representative in his stead? Selecting a representative is a complicated process. From when we started right now, it would take until sometime tomorrow afternoon to complete. Tomorrow afternoon be too late for any of this to matter. Can't you see how absurd the things you're saying are? What would you have me do? These are the realities of corporate politics, and they suck. I understand, sir. You'll do nothing for my daughter. That's what you're saying. It's not what I'm saying. See what I can do to appoint a representative more quickly. Tona suggested that waiting for an appointee wouldn't be a terrible, hopeful prospect. I have no more allies. All I have left now are foes. Fuck the rules. Couldn't count on anyone anymore. He's gonna have to get the antiviral by himself. Probably couldn't get, like... No, his body was in flames. Probably can't, like, get his, get any of his fingers from his dead body. Might be dead, but there still must be some way to get that lock open. Taking extra care to avoid the notice of the detective, snuck out of the house and headed for the garage. Alright. So, let's jump for Minorikawa then. I did honestly think that, Osawa was just gonna stay in his, house the entire time. Driving past Aoyama, spotted a man he recognized walking along. Pulled up alongside him and called out through the window. Mr. Minorikawa. Mr. Osawa, sorry, but I haven't been able to look into the thing you asked about yet. That's quite alright. Business with I and Tanaka could wait until later. He needed to focus on protecting Shibuya. If he didn't get his hands on that antiviral. Caught up in something big, aren't you? How do you know that? 'Cause I'm Minoru Minorikawa. Man's egotism had some justification. Didn't know the details, but clearly had some inkling about Osawa's situation. Something clicked in Osawa's mind. He was up against the wall. Koshi Pharmaceutical had told him they were gonna just let Maria die. It's past the point where he could resolve this peacefully, but he's not gonna give up without a fight. When it came time, Osawa was sure this man could help him. That'll make this simpler, I guess. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Thought for a moment, they got into the passenger seat. What are the boys doing? As he drove to the lab, Osawa filled Minorikawa in on all the details. Listened intently, occasionally interrupting to ask a question. Are you planning to get your hands on the antiviral? Not sure. Figure I'd think of something after I got in there. Let out a nasal chuckle. Just improvising, huh? Oh well. I'll back you up. At least I know I found my way into something important. Nice car. Pull up outside the lab and the two men got out of the car. Immediately apprehended, immediately a team of security guards burst out through the gate and forced Osawa to the ground. Hey, the hell is this? Grabbed him as well. And hand me. Kenji Osawa, this is my lab. Mr. Osawa, what the hell's going on here? Just as confused. Makino. Looked up to see Makino standing before him. Sir, tell these thugs to let me go. Frowned silently down at him. So, not only will you not help me, you're actively getting in my way? Ray's life, no, countless human lives are at risk. There's nothing that you alone can do about that. That's what I need you to understand. Gave a signal to the guards who proceeded to drag Osawa away. Scientist writhed in despair at his own impotence. In the end, there was nothing I could do. Okay. Bad end, I guess. Makino's meddling. Try to get the antiviral directly. Unexpected help from Minorikawa. Osawa's just not gonna be able to get into the laboratory. He'll have to make some other decision. Alright. So I guess Osawa just has to stay home. Had to take Makino at his word. Right now, that was his only course of action. Sat down in front of his computer and quietly closed his eyes. If only I could just go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and find all of this resolved. All I'm asking for is a miracle. He needs to realize that he can still get the antiviral from Hitomi. New reality would never be so kind. Could hold his eyes shut as long as he wanted and want to make this hopeless situation go away. Felt the anxiety welling up inside him until it seemed like he was going to explode. Needing a distraction from his helplessness, Osawa opened up INET. Mere escapism, but he couldn't just sit around and do nothing while waiting for Makino to call back. Posted a new topic with the title "I, a Fortune Teller." Tried the Eye of Fortune Teller. My results basically said I was a bad person who can't connect to the people around me. And you know what? That's exactly right. Only interested in my own little world. That's probably why my wife and my assistant at work got so fed up with me. I think you're really a bit too much on the internet there, buddy. It's the same with my two daughters. What sort of things are they interested in? Do they have a lot of friends? What are their aspirations for the future? Type so slowly. Actually, no, I guess this is like about my typing speed. I don't know any of those things. It never even occurred to me to find out. I'm such a terrible father. Aw, they're so cute. I don't know what my daughters are interested in, and it's okay. You have daughters, Antok? Sawa's fingers ceased their tapping on the keyboard, and they thought back to when Maria and Hitomi were younger. Daddy! Two girls would follow him around like a pair of puppies. Her father was their everything. That much was clear just by looking at their faces. I know, technically Nira is my daughter. Since I designed Nira, did her art and model. Felt a ticklish giddiness at having his girls cling to him so. Never felt anything like it in his life. There were times where he also found it tiresome. I am sick of being the person I am. There's nothing I can do about that, though. I'm sure it's far too late for me to change. Poured out all his negative emotions into his post. Felt like stream of consciousness drivel, but didn't hesitate to write it all down the same. Wanted other people to know what a miserable excuse for a human being he was. Couldn't think of anything else to add. He posted his bitter confession to the forum. I think you revealed maybe a bit too much about yourself there, buddy, but I hope that maybe you'll be supported by positive comments, but also this is the internet. Staring numbly at the monitor when he heard a furious shout from the next room. Gotta be kidding me. It's Kajiwara, and someone never heard him so angry. Head into the living room and found Kajiwara embroiled in a vehement argument with the other detectives. I don't care what HQ's policy is, I will not just quietly go along with this. Artie screamed himself right in the face. Out of line, snapped one MPD detective. Ichi Sawatari with the Metropolitan Police Department's first criminal investigation section. Heard of Kajiwara's past deeds from friends at the Shibuya precinct, he recommended to his boss that Kajiwara be assigned to the investigation at the Osawa residence. Seeing the detective's interactions with Osawa, he's confident that his recommendation was in the right. Given the circumstances, he can't help but take a cold stance towards Kajiwara. Hold your tongue. I don't care if I'm out of line. You may have talent, I'll give you that. But you're a precinct detective and this isn't your jurisdiction. It's not your place to question orders from higher up. Wait. Kajiwara really is a real detective after all. Go on, explain the situation to Mr. Osawa. Bit his lip in frustration at the other detective's order. Very well. But before he could say more, Osawa noticed that the police equipment had all been cleared off the table, taken off the case. Hold on. What's going on? Has something happened? Allow me to explain, sir. His bitterness showed plainly on his face. We've been recalled, sir. Established a security force headed by the members of its Public Security Bureau to deal with the bioterrorist threat. Because of the kidnapping task force has not yet found Maria, and she's infected with the virus, the task force personnel had been instead absorbed into the security force and will continue their work under its direction. Narrowed his eyes, finding to keep the confusion from his face. What do you mean by that? He was shaken, terrified to have his suspicions confirmed. I'm truly sorry, sir, for having been unable to help you. Give a deep and solemn bow. But Maria, what's going to happen to Maria? Another unit has been tasked with bringing your daughter into custody, sir. Not much at least Osawa could process. Going to place her under quarantine, aren't you? Lips stiffened, but he nodded. in order to minimize the spread of the virus, so I'm told. No, can't do that. If you do, there won't be any way to save her. Beg of you. You need to get Maria to me. I might be able to save her. Didn't respond, he turned to the other detectives. Please, you can't place Maria under quarantine. Detective's only answer was to avert their eyes. Why are you all ignoring me? Please, you have to listen. If you bring her to me, I can figure something out. I know I can. He plunked himself down on the floor, yelling and flailing his arms like a child throwing a tantrum. Exchanged sullen looks with one another and then walked off and left him there. Knew he must have been a sorry sight, but nevertheless he kept shouting after them, "Please, don't stand by and let my daughter die." At least Kajiwara's still my friend. Only Kajiwara remained with him in the living room. "I'm sorry, sir. This was beyond my ability to stop." Gave another apologetic bow. Felt suddenly deflated. Done a fine job, Detective Kajiwara. It's me who should be sorry. It's such a disgraceful display of myself. It's not true, sir. I'm deeply moved. I can tell how much Maria must mean to you. If I had been really thinking about Maria, I would have made an effort to work with you detectives more. That was all just self-absorbed shouting. A moment of emotional selfishness. And yet, as a result, you convinced me to stay here with you. Pull out his phone and pull in a request with the task force headquarters to remain at the Osawa residence. Got into a heated spat with his commanding officer. Receives permission to stay on as the police liaison with Osawa. Well, see, there are some people who are legitimately moved by a parental's display of emotion. If I'm not certain that I can do very much in staying here with you. That's not true. There's plenty you can help me with. Looked into Kajiwara's face and smiled. For instance, I can have a banana whenever I want. Kajiwara returned Osawa's grin even more brightly. Of course. By all means, have as many as you like. Produced a pair of bananas from his pocket, handing one to his companion. Just two dudes sharing bananas. Peeled his banana and took a hearty bite. Mild sweetness was pleasant and soothing. Flavor that brought back memories. Often eat bananas when I go to the park with my daughter, Kajiwara muttered between mouthfuls. Didn't realize you had a daughter, detective. Just started grade school this year. Really? She must be adorable. I don't get to see her as much as I'd like. Lonely sort of smile across Kajiwara's face. Why's that? Doing this job caused me to neglect my family. Finally, about 2 years ago, my wife hit me with the divorce paperwork. Wanted to be able to keep our daughter with me, but law tends to favor the mother when it comes to custody issues. 2 bars of chocolate from his pocket. It's good to have something sweet when you're exhausted. Took one but said nothing. Recently, my ex-wife's been talking about getting remarried. Aw. She wants me to stop seeing our daughter. Bit into his own chocolate bar with a soft snap. It's no less than I deserve, but it still hurts. Cannot but sympathize. The man was losing his daughter. Here was someone he could really talk to. You're sure of that much now. Detective, I apologize. I've kept things from you because I was worried they involved classified corporate information. Oh? Earlier today I received some emails. They could be pertinent to the case. Would you mind letting me see them? On the contrary. Back in front of his computer, Osawa saw that Ionet was still open. Pretty Honey had responded to his forum post. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Pretty Honey is, Rumi's dad. I don't know if this is gonna be positive or negative. Don't get distracted, I don't think. There's no time to be looking at the internet. Close the browser. Curious about Pretty Honey's response, but I'll just have to wait. Little lines jumped out at him. It's never too late. Time comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. It's never too late. That was the most reassuring thing Osawa could possibly hear. He would do whatever he could. All he could do was try his best and refuse to give up. I don't think that was really a choice. As he pondered this, Osawa opened his email, pulling up the images of the human testing on the monitor. A lot of creepy images. What is this? These are images from unauthorized clinical testing of an antiviral drug I developed, carried out by my company without my knowledge. Image of a... Sorry, what was that? Frowned at the unfamiliar terminology. Simple terms, the antiviral is a wonder drug to combat the Ua virus. Maria is infected with the Ua virus, species of virus discovered in South Africa relatively recently. Roughly 12 hours after infection, patients develop a cough, then a fever, then begin vomiting, and ultimately begin to bleed uncontrollably from all over, resulting in death. Mortality rate is... it's nearly 100%. Kajiura shuddered. But wait, if you have this wonder drug, then Maria... Sawa shook his head. Thought Tanaka, I have no means of getting it out of the lab. Kajiura's frown deepened. See. It may not be much to go on, but I think we can put together at least one piece of our little mystery here. Something difficult or impossible to explain, an enigma. See plenty of books titled The Mystery of Such and Such, or The Secret of whatever on bookstore shelves, but when you read them, you're invariably disappointed by the mystery not being that mysterious after all. Pardon me a moment. Inspected the email address of the sender aid and brought up the mail header. Don't see email addresses like this much. It's seemingly from a foreign country, but that might be fake. You can tell that just from the email? Flash a little grin. Take a look here. I would just do this, and then this. Flew over to keyboard, calling up the header details, singling out the received from field. This set of 4 numbers at the bottom is the sender's IP address. Think of it as an ordinarily hidden location marker of sorts. Pulled up a website called IP Station. Copy and pasted the set of 4 numbers and pressed the enter key. Name of the provider, interconnection method, and other such details. Provides an internet connection service. Typical internet connection requires a dedicated line. Who do not already have one must make a contract for one with the provider. When the provider establishes your connection to the internet, you're assigned an identifying number called an IP address. Sawa couldn't make heads or tails of most of it, but one thing drew his eye. Access point, Shibuya Ward, Tokyo. Went into the email program's options and checked the server info for Osawa's connection. Furrows formed in his forehead. This here. This is the same provider that you use, Mr. Osawa. What does that mean? What kind of internet connection do you have here at your house? It's plugged in over there, but... Does everyone in your family use that same line? I think so. Command prompt and typed IP and config. Literal prompt for users to issue computer control commands via keyboard instead of mouse. Frequently used to refer to the window or program allowing for such. Okay, so The same numbers we saw before pop up here, that's a bad sign. Stared at the monitor. Black window covered in white alphanumeric characters appeared. What the heck? Kajira muttered under his breath. What's going on? Explain simply so I can understand. Making an email address is simple enough, but the typical person wouldn't be able to fake an IP. Did I send him? Or, Osawa's wife, I. Either I or Tanaka. Probably. It's very likely these emails were sent from another computer inside this house. Emails had been sent from his own house at around 11 o'clock that morning. Hadn't sent them himself, that left only one possible culprit. His phone rang, nearly startling him out of his seat. That is an annoying phone. That is an annoying ringtone. Makino's name showed on the incoming call display. Quick to pick up, please. Is there an update on the emergency board meeting? I didn't subdued. I tried pulling whatever strings I could, but to no avail. Afraid holding a board meeting today just won't be possible. Fuck. Phone fell out from Osawa's hand. It's the only possible means of saving Maria. It's now gone. No. Think about Hitomi. Get the antiviral from Hitomi's blood. Gotta think a little bit outside of the box, man. Minori Call is probably gonna end up a little bit different now that Osawa, no longer left the house. Outside of heaven, 10 minutes on the dot, thanks. Sir! Leaning out the window to point at him. Isn't called word cause it's fun. Day will be over soon enough. Stay in there a bit longer. Finished with a knowing grin. Heard the ghost of a smile. Maybe the spirits have been lifted just a tiny little bit. Thank you. True friend of the working man. Waved half-heartedly, then head into the building. Mr. Mino! Threw herself at him as soon as he opened the door of the editing office. News of the explosion was playing on the television. Straight to his desk and opened his laptop. Try to get a handle of the current situation. We're the folks from the loan company. They're here. Have them waiting downstairs. Did they know Toyama's dead? Sorry, I kinda let that slip. What about Hana? I'm not sure. I haven't heard from her since she called earlier. Or typing at his laptop. 6 pages of the copy were nearly wrapped up. He needed to do whatever it took to see this job through to the end. That would serve as his final tribute to Toyama's memory. Loaded his copy into the DTP software in order to set the layout. Actual magazine articles began to take shape. Then the editing department door swung open. Hey! Kicked over a stack of books. How long are you gonna keep us waiting? Honestly, Saga, must you be so rowdy? Mr. Minorikawa then. Held out his business card. Pleasure to meet you. Sao Ozu from Takarada Financing. Black market lending firm that offers loans at an interest rate above what the law allows. Well known for taking whatever steps necessary to collect what's owed. Got bad credit, but you need a loan. Call anytime, we'll put together a loan that suits your needs. Deepest sympathies about Mr. Toyama. However, I'm afraid that we do need you to give back the money we loaned. The threat in his voice was plain. Next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip is definitely coming out. Please wait for repayment until we have the funds from those sales. Certainly aren't monsters. Magazine is going to be making you money, we wouldn't mind delaying another month. To clarify, that would be the case if Toyama was still alive. Releasing the next issue is all well and good, but with Toyama gone, so too is the company. They'll make full repayment of what we're owed impossible, I expect. What do you want us to do? Cut to the chase. Doubt your ears and listen up. Knock it off, you're scaring a young lady. All we want to know is where Mr. Toyama's daughter is. Tell us where the girl is. No way, Hana's just a little kid, she doesn't have any responsibility to pay back the... We're aware of that. Still like to know where she is. Didn't matter right now. Guys like this had all sorts of ways of wringing money out of people. It's clear from the looks of their faces that Ozu and Segawa had some wicked scheme up their sleeves. Unless of course you'd prefer to take on Toyama's steps, Mr. Minorikawa. Quite the accomplished reporter after all. Didn't know how much Toyama had borrowed, but only took one look at these guys to tell him it was no small sum. Well, you land scoop after scoop, I'm sure you'll be able to repay us in full before you die. Fiercely returned his stare. I don't think you should. Never co-sign. Co-sign is a fucking trap. Okay. Could you give me some time? Pale at Minorikawa's response. Could even think about taking their offer. Waited long enough, give us your answer now. Now, let's just calm down. Said he'd consider it, that's a step in the right direction. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Minorikawa? Wait a little while longer. Put them off for several days at least, but it didn't look like that was gonna happen. Plunked themselves down on the editing department's sofa. Not actually gonna take on that debt, are you? Sat at his desk looking over the copy he'd written. It's none of your concern. What I need to know is how your piece on the street interview's coming. Those guys, they said it doesn't matter if the issue comes out or not. Don't be ridiculous. When a professional agrees to take on a job, they see it through to the end. Took his point and then scampered to grab the printout of her copy. Flick once over. Piece was lacking in structure. Checking for the finer details. Several off-theme sentences jumped out at him. It's no good, rewrite it. Thrust the printout back at Chiaki. Yes, sir. A lot of SIGs. News broadcaster's voice suddenly broke through the silence as well as Minori's concentration. It's live on the scene now where an explosion in Shibuya has. Gazed blankly at the screen. To a particular memory of Toyama. Door looked like it might fall apart at any moment, but Minorikawa didn't care. He pounded on it as hard as he could. Toyama's nameplate popped up and fell to the floor. Or to believe that this dilapidated department was the home of a newspaper editor who worked his way up from reporter. Toyama, get your ass out here. Sound of Minorikawa's angry shouting, other tenants on the floor poked their heads out of their rooms to stare. Made him no heed, continuing to call out. Opened the door dressed in his sweats and undershirt. Quiet down. Come on, Anna. Heard you tendered your letter of resignation at the paper. Sat cross-legged on the tatami-covered floor. Tell me why. Quirked a lopsided grin. Wanna know why I quit, huh? Getting close. Peered at him dubiously. I don't want anyone overhearing this. Turned his right ear towards Toyama. Warm breath against his cheek was pretty unsettling. Had trouble concentrating on Toyama's story. Got to the crux of the matter, he found himself listening with rapt attention. By the time Toyama finished, Minorikawa was unable to suppress his shock. You're starting your own publishing company? Not so loud. Just with a finger to his lips, he looked around rarely as if there may be spies at his own apartment. Right, but a publishing company? Narikawa said again, more quietly this time. What are you doing for your distributor account? All booksellers were required to use a wholesale distributor to circulate their publications. To do business with such a distributor, a publisher needed a specialized distributor account. I gotta let a company with no track record open a new account with a distributor. I'm sure you must realize that. I know. That's why I bought one. You bought one? A ghost account belonging to a publisher that went bankrupt. Distributor accounts could go for tens of millions of yen. And that's why he's in debt. There's no way Toyama could afford that on his severance pay alone. He's taking out a loan in order to make the purchase. Publishing industry was a slump nowadays. People just weren't buying books much anymore. Starting up a new publishing company was a beyond risky endeavor. Decided for a name for my company. Get this, Heaven Publishing. Heaven? That sounds fatalistic. People who work for me will feel like they're in paradise. For all this kvetching about keeping quiet, Toyama was now exclaiming pretty loudly himself. You appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but surely your wife must have objections. Opened up the refrigerator. Took a peek inside. Mournfully spare, holding Lil beside beer cans and drinking snacks. Mrs. left me. Took her daughter with her. Scant few words painted the picture clearly enough. Toyama grabbed a can of beer and tossed it to his guest. No more sob stories. Cracked open his own can of beer. Foam bubbled from the top. Cheers. Heaven Publishing's big debut. Cast everything aside and was striving for a new beginning. The man had braced himself for the challenge. It wasn't Minorikawa's place to tell him he was making a mistake. Even if it was an uphill battle, he had little chance of winning. Congrats! Pulled the tab on his beer can. Cheers! Clacked their cans together. One year had passed since Toyama founded Heaven Publishing. Poked his head into the editing office, a bag from the convenience store in hand. Hey boss, how's business? How does it look like it's doing? A veritable mountain of return stock, his expression bleak. Do not purchase the books they sell, but rather take them on consignment. Allows them to return the publisher any books that do not sell. Bulky non-fiction tomes, not exactly the sort to fly off the shelves. Can't even muster a smile for their reunion. It's been like this for every non-fiction book we've put out. Starting right off with the bleak stuff, huh? Things are bleak. Only thing that's selling is this gossip rag of ours. Beer cans from his bags, handing one to Toyama. 4-star general gossip from atop his desk. Heaven's Publishing one breadwinner, the only thing that keeps the company afloat. Gossip now seems like it was buried in the red of publishers' non-fiction releases. Really did have higher aspirations than this. Gazing in disappointment at the pile of unsold books. Here we are. Our gossip magazine is our only viable publication. Like your bookseller chugged his beer. Daddy, I'm hungry. Startled to hear a young child's voice. Little girl nestled between the stacks of returned stock. Oh, that's adorable. It's my daughter, Hana. It's complicated, but she's living with me now. I see. I'm pressed for more details with Hana right there. All likelihood, things with Toyama's ex-wife hadn't been going well. Go on, introduce yourself. This is one of Daddy's work friends. turned to Minorikawa with a bright little grin. Hello, my name's Hana. I'm 6. Oh, you want some of this? Pulled a packet of dried squid he bought to go with the beers. Sure. Chuck stuffed her cheeks with the squid. Flashed a sheepish grin. Do you like living with your daddy, Hana? Giving the girl's hair a gentle ruffle. I do. Daddy's amazing. He runs a company. Aw. She's like so like cynical now though. Maybe not cynical, maybe more like she understands the gravity of the situation she's in, and it's not something for a 10-year-old to handle. Let's out a tiny involuntary sob at his daughter's ready praise. Keep at it. Looking into his daughter's smiling face. Anna is more important to me than any high aspirations I might have had. Keep shoveling out copies of the gossip, and at least make sure she's always got something good to eat. It's really tasty. I'll pouch of dried squid. Squid is delicious. Tears well in Toyama's eyes. Next time I'll make sure she'll have sashimi instead of something like this. What do you mean something like this? I'm the one who bought it. Toyama and his daughter laughed together. I mean, sorry, Minorikawa thought. Father and his girl getting along so well. Might have been a hard-hitting journalist, but when he came home at the end of the day, he was just daddy. It's natural for the man as a father to put his child above anything else. Aw. Gorging herself on snacks, Anna fell asleep on the sofa looking well and truly satisfied. You know, Minorikawa, Anna's happiness means more to me than my lofty artistic ideals ever could. Kept his voice low as he regarded his daughter's sleeping face. From that day forward, Evan Publishing has shifted its focus to scandal rags with 4-star journal gossip as its pillar. Had that been for good or for ill, whatever the case, Toyama had abandoned his pride. Watched him become more and more of a miserable wreck. Snapped back into the present as a sheaf of pages appeared in front of his face. Here you go. Right. What do you even fix? Please tell me which parts are wrong. What are you talking about? Don't have a lot of time here, so I figure if I just fix the parts that need fixing. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy? Never gonna get any better. Someone tells you it's no good, you gotta rewrite the whole thing from scratch. Just making silly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Look, what I told you, it's what Toyama told me when I was first starting out. Times he had do dozens of rewrites. First I thought he was just pushing me around, but rewriting things over and over, I realized something. A lot of ways you can write about the same thing. That's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Really? If you get that, then stick with it. Write your submission deadline as close as you have in order to write the best piece you can. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. My late Chiaki's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit. Might have talent, but she hadn't realized it yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment even when things got tough. Didn't have that kind of resolve, she'd never make it as a freelancer. These guys. How touching. I'm almost moved to tears. I'll make a movie for this out of this for sure. I've been acquainted with that sad Toyama. I never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here with so good at tough love. Pounded his fist on his desk. That's about enough from the peanut gallery. Hold your tongue. His eyes shone with a vicious gleam. Getting sick of waiting here. Scal, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you? Looked disapprovingly at his underling, then slid a sheet of paper into Norikawa's desk. Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision now. Just stamp here, we'll be on our way. Is this a bond of recognizance? It's what you write about when transferring a debt. Tightly looked over the contract. If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept the signature as well. Face it, pal, if you don't hurry up and sign, we're never gonna stop going after Toyama's daughter. Mr. Mino, you can't do this. Think about what you're doing. If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Toyama. I won't. Yes, you will. Who the hell do you think I am? Minoru Minarikawa, damn it. Like so many scoops will make your head spin. I'm gonna pay back to Step and rebuild Heaven Publishing. But why would you take such a risk? Lowered his voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. Aha! Startled him with a sudden exclamation. Oh no, 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 no. Hana, you need to get the fuck out of here. Looking up, Minarikawa saw what the loan sharks had seen. Little Hana standing by the door. Get her. No. Rushed at the girl. Run. Ozu managed to snatch her up just as she reached the stairs. Let's be on our way then, shall we? Cruel face as he headed down the stairwell. Let her go. Trying to grab the girl, but Sagawa drove a punch right into his face. Ow. Ooh. The pain staggered him. He managed to press on. Get your hands off of that girl. That, something hard slammed into his chest. His vision went dark. Felt himself slipping from consciousness. He heard Hana's voice. I'm sorry, Uncle Minarikawa. Sorry. No, I'm the one who should apologize. Before his thoughts got any further, Minarikawa passed out. Fuck. They need to know that it wasn't Toyama who died in the explosion. He showed up at the office only to get caught by the moneylenders, dropkicked Minarikawa into unconsciousness when he tried to save her. Hana had been at the police station just before this, trying to decide if she should tell the police about her father being killed in this explosion. Someone brought her to Heaven Publishing, which was clearly a mistake, so it's in Kano's story. Okay. I still haven't found the way to... It's probably a Kano story as well. What are you up to, man? Arriving back at the Shibuya precinct, Kano hurried to the interrogation room. Investigation currently on hold, he knew that taking any official action would be tricky. He's gonna break through the stalemate, he was gonna need Tatsuno's help. Ugh, excuse me. The abduction, the ransom, the attached case relay, Ryo's release, and then Tanaka's death. Maybe Tatsuno would be able to figure out how all these elements were related. Needed to check something for himself. Never let Al-Karawan go free. Needed the prisoner to set the record straight. Sat in the precinct interrogation room looking brazen and cocksure. One glance at his face and Kano was reminded of what happened to Sasayama, fresh angered smolder at the edges of his mind. Already two detectives already in the room. Seems like he wasn't made privy to the details. Sounds like they were following orders, carrying the attached case around. Sat down across from Al-Karawan. Something I'd like to ask you. Just paid to do a job. I don't know anything more than that. Japanese was imperfect, but he understood the language well enough. Tell me. How did you manage to escape from Detective Tatsuno? Escape? I didn't. A faint smile came to Al-Karawan's lips. He let me go free. Liar. Detective Tatsuno would never do that. Slammed the desk with his fist. Didn't have handcuffs on, did I? Took them off for me. Had to be a lie. It's not like there were other ways to remove a pair of handcuffs. Took off the handcuffs, pointed his gun at me. Cut the crap. Got the prisoner by the collar. Went on unperturbed. Had the gun pointed at me but didn't pull the trigger. So that's when I ran. Why would Detective Tatsuno want to shoot you? Because I saw him. Saw him do what? Let me tell you something interesting. There was that girl who was carrying the ransom, right? Pictured Hitomi standing anxiously beside the statue of Hachiko. That guy Tatsuno was trying to kill her. Fit of rage, Kano drove his fist into Alcarawan's face. His colleagues rushed and interposed themselves. Kano calmed down. Knocked to the floor, Alcarawan gingerly fingered his split lip. After I gave you such good info, too. Assigned to protect Hitomi Osawa. You can't expect me to believe your rubbish. Lunged around the table, ready to throw another punch, but his fellow detectives held him back. Looked away indifferently. It's your Detective Tatsuno you should be arresting, not me. Girl's gonna get killed. You step in line, pal. Kano, you're the one who needs to step in line. Go and cool off for a bit. Kano immediately pulled out his cell phone and called Tatsuno's number. Please pick up. Tatsuno didn't answer. Sat down in a chair in the hallway in a bit of a daze. He found himself holding the present Sasayama had gotten for his wife. I have to do something. Just don't know what I'm supposed to do. His restlessness gnawed at him like a rabid animal. Kano. Kuze. Have an update on Sasayama. Saw the lump in his throat. Knife went in deep enough to do some organ damage. He's in critical condition. I see. Handkerchief red with Sasayama's blood, clung to the wrapping paper of Sasayama's present. Filled away carefully so as to not tear the paper beneath. What's that? Let me hold on to this for him. It's a present for his wife. Let's see. Sorry, Director Kuze, for ignoring your orders. When you get down to it, none of this would have happened if it weren't for me. Some kind of punishment was surely headed his way for acting alone, as he had. Probably wasn't gonna get out of this one with a simple written apology. Public servants are negligent in their duties or violate regulations. They can be punished with a warning, a formal reprimand, reduction in pay, suspension, or dismissal. Case of a warning, in addition to remonstration from a direct supervisor, the individual must also submit a formal letter explaining the relevant details and assuring it won't happen again. Alright. Kizi calmly shook his head. What happened to Sasayama isn't your fault. Don't blame yourself. As far as this case goes, I've been given quite the runaround myself. Rare note of vulnerability in Kuze's voice. Higher-ups have barely let any information trickle my way, but they're still ordering me around non-stop. It's a real pain in the ass. Kuze fell silent, ruminating. Quiet lingered between the two men for several moments before he abruptly spoke again. Right, I'd like to get your opinion on something. Mura Tanaka, who we found in the minivan, you know? What'd you think? Maybe release his name to the media? Slipped into his childless register. He was clearly exhausted. Dealing with the kidnapper's baffling actions and too much meddling from the higher-ups, even a veteran like Kuze is just beat. It's not the only reason for his exhaustion. Has a brother 6 years his senior. Despite being nominally mature, refuses to get a real job and shows no inclination to settle down with a family. Walks around town day after day dressed like a hippie and treating passerbys to songs he's written. Worried about his shiftless brother for years now, the guy's gotten a chronic source of consternation. I don't think we've met this guy. Drawn by the question. We're asking for the director to seek an opinion from a mere junior detective. Feels like something's not too normal about one of Kenji Osawa's subordinates dying. I had the same thought. Too intentional to be a coincidence. Should I get the media involved and try to rush for a resolution, or should I be more cautious? What would you do? Not releasing the name. So many factors to consider. Don't think about it so hard, so I have a point of reference. If they release the name, the Yakuza guys will leave Midorikawa alone. I think releasing the name should be alright. Still a lot they didn't know about Tanaka. The fact that the final stop for the ransom relay was Tanaka's condo implied some sort of connection between him and the kidnappers. No idea what his role in the abduction might have been. Any motive for why Tanaka would be helping the kidnappers in the first place. Sharing what they did know with the public, they might be able to garner some new leads. You'd release a name. Alright then. I wonder if that changed. No. Governor's press conference was still going on. Requested that each of the railroad companies, starting with JR, stop running trains through Shibuya Station until further notice. As far as the roads go, Route 246 has already been closed to traffic. Any possibility of bioterrorists attack? People who are still in Shibuya. As I've already made clear, this is not a complete blockade. Modern Japan does not have a system for enacting martial law. Few ways the government could effectively quarantine Shibuya. In case of a potential viral infection, infectious disease law allows the city to be partitioned into areas of restricted movement. Do not want to acknowledge the existence of the top secret UA virus, however, taking such an action would be rather tricky legally. I need a sneeze. Nothing to stop anyone from leaving Shibuya on foot. Isn't what you're describing de facto martial law? Of course not. Martial law is illegal. Couldn't declare it even if I wanted to. So this is a bioterrorist issue then. Never said anything of the sort. Everyone's doing their best insofar as they knew how, so why not me? Doesn't matter what I do. I just want to be doing something. Letting time tick by without bearing to take action was more than he could bear. I want to check on my buddy. Oh, there she is. Making his way towards the hospital, Kano spotted a girl sitting on the pedestrian overpass. Looked like she was on the verge of tears. Are you waiting for someone? Said nothing. Are you lost? You need a policeman. Low crime rate in Japan combined with rather high police personnel numbers in Tokyo mean that officers, particularly beat cops, often have plenty of bandwidth to deal with more minor issues. Gave no answer. Where'd you come from? Yeah, just decided to go and call for a female officer when the girl hesitatingly spoke at last. I've been publishing. Told them where that was. On the way to Shibuya Hospital, not too far from where they were now. Why don't I take you there, Ned? Already heading in that direction anyway. Where's my choice, though? Hesitated to enter at first, but eventually vanished inside. About to continue on his way. Hold on. That's still to the bad end, though. If I do, like, if I call Romy and okay, the bad end is gone. Okay. I think I just need a not, make Kano more anxious. got a call of his own. Who's it from? Tatano. Quickly press the button to accept the call. Detective Tatano, is that you? One of the things Kano wanted to ask. What had Tatano been doing this whole time? Why did he let Alcarawan go free? And what had happened to Hitomi? Busy trying to decide what question to pose first, Tatano spoke. Secure Maria Osawa. Came out as a startled gasp. To bring her here, bring her here ASAP. Right now she's... You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Hitomi Osawa? Yes. Heard over the wireless that the man from the US Embassy had her in custody. Hadn't been listening to the most recent wireless traffic. Apparently Stanley had managed to find Hitomi. What was Tatsuno getting at here? Hold on. What for? I mean, why do you need me to bring Hitomi Osawa to you? No reply. Detective Tatsuno, answer me, please. Replied as if he hadn't heard Kano's questions. There's an office building in Nanpeidai called South Hill. I'll be waiting for you on that rooftop. Don't bring her. Kill Maria. He hung up. His phone slipped from his grasp and fell to the floor. Went to South Hill Nanpeidai alone. Rough translation of Nanpeidai, name of the area where it's located. The official name is South Hill Building, but since this is awkward to say, it's frequently shortened. And brought Hitomi as Tatsuno had demanded, nor had he reported the situation to Kuze. Wanted to meet with Tatsuno and find out what was going on. Took the elevator to the 8th floor. After that, he had to take the stairs to the rooftop. Yep, it's King Man. Try to imagine what what Tatsuno might want with Hitomi. Hadn't noticed anything suspicious about the senior detective in the lead-up to the stakeout at the Scramble. Seemed the same man Kano and Ari's revered. Why was he doing this? Couldn't think of a reason. Reaching the top of the staircase, he at last stepped out onto the open roof. I feel like this is a bad end. It just feels like the protagonist's past can't, like, cross too much. So the fact that he's going here where Maria is now makes me a little worried about Maria. Time for half-baked conjecture was past. Lay his doubts on Tatsuno's feet. Soon enough, everything would become clear. Inwardly, Kano did his best to convince himself of that. A warm breeze blew against his cheek. Took a look around but saw no sign of Tatsuno. Detective, where are you? Getting no response, he began to walk around the rooftop, calling out several times. It's Kano, I come as you asked. Where's Hitomi Osawa? Stepped into view from behind a water tank. He led with him a young woman bound and blindfolded. Why didn't you bring her? Stared in shock. Detective Tatsuno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? Man. Maria's having a day. Hear a faint voice and I realize the man is listening to a wireless radio. Managed to secure Hitomi Osawa at Shibuya Central Hospital. Gleam comes to the gunman's eyes. Pulls out his cell phone from his jacket and hurriedly makes a call. I've secured Maria Osawa, he says to whoever's on the other end. Huh? Maria Osawa? Is my name Maria Osawa? You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Hitomi Osawa. If I'm Maria Osawa, what sort of relationship do I have to Hitomi? Don't bring her. Kill Maria. Then my captor hangs up. Were you serious just now? My voice wavers uncontrollably. What do you mean, kill me? Don't look at me like that. Steps in closer to me, his expression dangerous. That killer's edge that he lost during our little talk is back in full force. Just bear with me a little longer. Lions folded my eyes with some sort of towel. Can't see through it at all. I hear Cannon's voice inside my head. My memories are like shards of broken glass, tumbling through my mind, all out of sequence. More Cat's Cradle. How are you able to do that when the string is so tangled up? But you know the trick to it, you can do it with your eyes closed. I'm showing Cannon how to do a cat's cradle. I wonder if this is gonna be like, I don't know, I don't know. I think the cat's cradle is gonna come back somehow. She reaches out for the string. Huh? She doesn't get a hold of it quite right. What gives? Despite her efforts, the string gets all jumbled up. No, not like that. Hook your index fingers through the right part of the string. I get that. It's getting irritated. After giving it a few more tries, she finally manages to pull it off. There you go, look at that. Her innocent little smile bolsters my own spirits. That's neat. Thanks for teaching me. It's nothing special. Let me teach you some skills to help protect yourself. Ooh. Abruptly, my memory jumps forward a bit. Cannon has been training me in some form of self-defense. Protecting oneself when attacked rather than defeating the opponent. Self-defense training generally prioritizes simply getting oneself away from danger. Some people consider behavioral tenets such as run away when you're attacked or don't go near dangerous places to be forms of self-defense as well. Yeah. When you're in a fight or flight situation, they always tell you, if you can get away safely, you do. Don't try to fight back if there's other options. Don't overthink it. People will either try to punch you, kick you, grab you. You can stay ready for those three things, you'll be able to take it from there. She demonstrates some defensive movements as I watch, follow suit, doing my best to mimic her. Let's do this. Nice. There's a punch at me, I dodge, I grab her by the wrist and give her arm a hard twist. Incredibly, she goes whirling through the air. She lands nimbly on her feet, a little grin coming to her face. Nicely done. Stared out at my own hand. Did I really just do that? Once you repeat the movements enough, your body will treat them like second nature. Wax on, wax off. Do as she says, trying to repeat the movements over and over. It's like a semi-gimmick, but eventually I can feel the motions growing smoother. People like those thugs we met before won't get the drop on you again. Thugs. Now my memories are further back into the past. Wandering the streets trying to get back to my hotel, but I'd gotten lost. Wandered into some dodgy back streets. I was already surrounded by people giving me threatening looks. Must have been the thugs looking for tourists to rob. If they caught me, I'm not sure I would have made it out alive. But they hadn't. Cannon had seen to that. Thank you so much for what you did for me. The fact that we're not seeing Cannon's face here. Didn't want there to be a scene here. That's all. Happened to be right underneath her apartment window when I was nearly abducted. Bit by bit, my memories of Cannon are starting to resurface. Just a little more. Just a little more and I'll have myself back, I'm sure of it. Where are you? fact that we haven't seen Cannon's face in any of like Maria's flashbacks, despite already knowing what Cannon looks like, is kind of sus to me. Man's voice suddenly snaps me back into the moment. It's Kano, I come as you asked. He grabs me by the arm and yanks me to my feet. First to tell me Osawa. Why didn't you bring her? Why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? It was my blindfold. Right. The fucking blimp again. Huge blimp dripping slowly by overhead. Sure, I've seen it before. Pretty recently at that. Flash of revelation inside my head. Like a dam bursting. My memories come flooding back to me. Oh. She remembers the kidnapping. Last night, I was at a party. Sort of mixer with the exchange students. Someone was plotting to use this party as an opportunity to abduct my sister Hitomi. Told Hitomi that the party started 1 hour later than it really did. Yeah. I had a plan. Let myself get abducted in Hitomi's place. Of course, the idea wasn't just to let myself get kidnapped. The necklace I wore was outfitted with a tiny GPS. Wherever I happened to be taken, Cannon would be able to track my location. What we hadn't counted on was my necklace getting torn off when I was attacked. I managed to grab a hold of it, but hit my head when I was shoved into the car and it slipped from my grasp. I'm not sure how far we drove after that. In my fuzzy memories, I recall glaring blearily outside the car window. She threw it outside? I saw the blimp right after we parked. Yes, it went fine. There's a man talking to someone on a cell phone. Alright, shut her up inside the storeroom. Be waiting in the room upstairs. Dragged me out of the car and shoved me into some dark storeroom. Guess for good measure, he hit me on the head again. That's right. There's more of it coming back to me now. You spent your life living in a country at peace. In Japan, you couldn't possibly understand me. Canon again. So it's not like she and I became fast friends right away or anything. Two of us were too different in a lot of ways. Where do you draw the line? What do you protect with your life? What does justice mean to you? Forlorn look came to her face whenever Canon asked me a new question. Never had a good answer for any of them. Flimsy grabs on my own personal identity made it hard for us to get along. Yet I kept visiting Canon's place for the duration of my trip. I remember doing the cat's cradle there at the table one time when we didn't have anything in particular to talk about. Her eyes had gone wide when she saw me deftly manipulating the string with my fingers. Taught you how to do that. My mother. My real mother, that is. Furrowed her brow. What do you mean real? As opposed to my stepmother, I mean. My birth mother died after getting really sick. I was only 5 years old, so I don't remember her that well. I see. Your expression remains unchanged. What about your parents, Canon? I don't have any. They died during the war. Bluntness of her response made my hands stop and the string still stretched between them. Sensing that we were treading on some serious ground, I hurried to change the subject. Do you have any friends? No. Used to have one. Her use of the past tense made me fear the worst, and I was right. He was killed too. By an arms dealer named Alfard. Tone was dry, matter of fact. Taking revenge for his death is my sole purpose in life. Despite the gravity of her words, her face was an unreadable mask. She seemed almost incapable of human emotion. So, what sort of person is this Alphard? A destructionist who masquerades as a terrorist. Destructionist? That sure wasn't a term that came up a lot back in Japan. Or doesn't believe in God and holds no political ideology. Chaos and destruction is just to earn money in order to carry out more terrorist acts. This Alphard commits terrorism because it's fun? Kanan nodded. That's why every now and then, Alphard changes loyalties. Just when you think you found ties to some Middle Eastern terrorist organization, turns out the job was for the American CIA. The heck? So Alphard stands for nothing then? Smile dismissively at my little childish outburst. Can't help but feel a bit patronized. Twiddle my fingers, turning my cat's cradle into a bridge. Eyes fixed right back on the string. Tiny surge of pride replaced my annoyance. She was quiet, watching closely as I worked my fingers. Tension in the room faded as the silence between us lengthened. Stepmother's the sort of person who couldn't do this sort of thing. An urge to talk about my personal life. I guess she cares about herself more than looking after her children. She's not a bad person, though. She gives me weird bits of advice, like telling me to find someone to date or that a woman's life is defined by a man. It's not like I hate her or anything. Do you mind teaching me? What? How to find a guy to date? No. Pointed to the cat's cradle strung between my fingers. Oh, you mean this? I took her by the hand and started to teach her the cat's cradle. Do you mind if I ask you something? That friend you mentioned earlier, what was he like? Fingers went still. It's better if you don't ask. I tell you, you won't want to come here anymore. That's not true. Though I'm a terrorist. Fear and violence to attain political objectives. Reign of terror in 18th century France, known in French as La Terreur. I swallowed a lump in my throat, unable to find words. We fight for righteousness, but you people call us terrorists. In the religious sense, the state of being virtuous, free of sin, and observant of the proper rules of moral conduct. Not the same as being in the right, though many people equate the two. Am I wrong? But, I mean, you protected me. My voice wavered as I replied. All I did was take down some thugs. I just didn't want them around. How'd I say to that? I just stammered. I'm just messing with you. This made another slight condescending grin. I was just joking, don't worry about it. But I didn't get the sense that everything she said was a joke. Even if calling herself a terrorist was an exaggeration, the world Kanan lived in was unquestionably a dangerous one. Tell that from the cold look in her eyes, the look you'd never expect from an ordinary teenage girl. What sort of hardships has she endured to acquire that deadly stare? Having lived all my life in peaceful Japan, I could scarcely imagine. Kanan tried and failed several times to get the cat's cradle right, but she didn't give up. She worked fastidiously by herself, fingers continuing to shift awkwardly about. Okay, here we go. String around our fingers and spread our palms. The string shape just collapsed into a jumbled mess. Found it. Okay, one more time. You can make this into a game with two people, you know. I plucked the string from Kanan's hands. Pass the string back and forth. Why don't we try that? It's more fun than doing it by yourself. Wrap the string around my fingertips. What'd you say? Want to give it a go? Looked dubious. Intricately waved strings were like a world in a way. Started as a single thread and was now something that couldn't be undone just by pulling on it. Held my hands out, controlling the string around my fingers. Took the pattern from me and spread her palms apart. She made a perfect bridge between her hands. Chagrin that came to her face made her look like a normal girl. Old suit with a childish little laugh of my own. By the way, I'm at a gunpoint. As if in a blaze of sunshine, the fog that's been hanging over my mind finishes receding. I remember everything. My name is Maria Osawa. My sister is Hitomi Osawa. Canon. She's a dear friend who I met in a far-off land. She helped me once, and now it's my turn to help her. Close my eyes as I reflect upon these precious memories, all the dearer for having been lost. Now when I try to picture Canon, I can do so clearly. This is just as I thought before. My memories are what make me who I am, and I would never choose to forget them. I feel almost as if time had stopped for me while my history was gone, and now it started moving again. I'm finally back to being me. And I have to go. I have to go back there one more time. Oh? Okay. End of her story. And? I guess so. Because Maria's story is just focused on her finding her identity, so it makes sense that her story would just end here, okay. It's a big and, though. But we need to know what happens next. She's still at gunpoint, thanks to Tatano on the roof. Da-da-da-da-da. Is it really Maria? Remove her blindfold. No doubt about it, she looked very much like Hitomi Osawa. A surge of frustration rushed through Kano. Tatano. What's the meaning of this? I fought to remain calm. He felt like he was on the verge of falling to pieces. Bring me Hitomi Osawa and I'll let this girl go. Why? What'd you need Hitomi for? His only answer was an icy stare. This isn't like you, it's so weird. Detective Tatano, who I know. Who do you know? Tatano cut him off. What do you know about me? I know what sort of detective you are, sir. Because I modeled myself after you for my whole career. Maid Stoney. Don't you remember? The time you risked your life to talk down that man who barricaded himself inside the office? Ever since then, you've been my... Interrupted with a sudden burst of laughter. You really are gullible, you know that? You only see things the way you want to see them. What do you mean by that? The truth is, I didn't even care if I died doing what I did. That's why I doused myself in gasoline. Voice had gone low and quiet. It's no display of heroics. It was more attempted suicide than anything else. I wasn't thinking about the other people still inside the building. It's just coincidence things turned out the way they did. If you made a single misstep, everyone in that building might well have burned to death. It can't be true. I don't have time for this conversation. Pressed the barrel of his gun to Maria's head. If you don't bring Hitomi Osawa to me, believe me, I'll blow her brains out. Stop this. There's no hesitation in Tatano's eyes. It looked like he really would shoot Maria if Kano didn't do as he asked. Hurry up. Bring Hitomi to me. Tell me what's going on. Go now or so help me, I'll shoot. Drew his own gun from his jacket. I know you, Detective Tatano. I know there's some meaning behind all this. Think you can shoot me? Think Alcarwan goes free, taking Maria hostage. This has to mean something. Sweat made Kano's hand slick where he clutched his gun. I asked if you think you can shoot me. I always looked up to you. You were the sort of detective I wanted to become. Kano's view of this Tatsuno began to blur as tears welled in his eyes. Can you shoot me, Kano? I can. Stood resolutely, doing his best to stare down the older man. Set his finger squarely on the trigger and pointed his gun at Tatsuno's forehead. Piercing stare vanished from the other detective's eyes. Gotta give you full marks for that, Kano. I'll tell you then. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. To be continued. Or, no, actually. We're getting it now, okay. All happened 17 years ago. A meth addict had assaulted someone in Shibuya. Tatsuno was questioning people around Dogenzaga in search for the perp. Happened to pass by Endo Electronics. Tatsuno. It was Kotane Endo, clad in pristine white. Close to her breast was her daughter Suzune, only a few months old. It's been a long time. She flashed a tiny smile. It has. Are you on the job? I am. Glowed slightly at the dour look on Tatsuno's face. Something the matter. Armed criminal hiding out somewhere in the area. I want to leave the shop for a while if you can avoid it. Let's go to the bank to deposit some money. Surely you could have Daisuke to go do it. He's on a repair job and hasn't come back yet. Not on a one-note sigh. See, Daisuke still does things his own way. Alright, let me escort you to the bank. You mean it? I feel a lot safer having you with me. Flashed a smile so wide that Tatsuno thought he might lose himself in it. Tatsuno, Katone, and Daisuke were childhood friends and had gone to school together up to through high school. Always clowning around together, Kotone was always alongside them laughing. Quite some time since he got into walk along Dogenzaga with Kotone. Have you been? Well, with a newborn to look after, it's been pretty hectic, but never a dull moment. Things have been good. Glad to hear it. Always as bright as a sunflower. Sometimes Tatsuno managed to convince himself that the sight of her was enough. Outside the bank, Katone held Suzune out to him. Saved the baby with an ancient frown. With a face. I'm not good with babies. I haven't held one very often. You'll be fine, don't worry. Just hold on to her for a minute while I take care of things inside. Alright. Held the baby gingerly like it was a bomb that might explode at any moment. Katone chuckled softly. Stared and squirmed in Tatsuno's arms. She kinda has Kotone's eyes. Strange, the sensation of holding a child. Soft and light, yet such a real and responsive presence. Warmth of her body warmed Tatsuno's inwardly in turn. After making her deposit, they strolled to a nearby park, Suzune back in her mother's arms. Do you have any plans for marriage, Tatsuno? Haven't thought about it. Work has me plenty busy. That's just an excuse. Some woman you wanted to marry, you wouldn't let work stop you. That's been anyone I felt that way about. Really? Nobody? This whole time? Really? See. Still, seeing the two of you like this makes me realize how nice having a family could be. You're deeply into Suzune's face. Well, if it ain't Tatsuno. It was Daisuke. What are you doing here? Can I ask you the same question? Give me a break. Come to make the deposit for the client. No need to worry, I just took good care of it myself. Thought you'd forgotten about it. Katone smiled as Daisuke reached down and carefully lifted Suzune in his arms. Beaming happily at his daughter, he nuzzled up against her tiny cheek. The time no see. Yeah, to see you're doing well for yourself, Tatsuno. Side by side, Daisuke proudly showing off Suzune's drowsing face. What'd you think? Adorable. Luckily, she doesn't have your looks. Hey now, bad-mouthing the same as ever, huh? Well, things hadn't changed since high school. I'll drop by our place for a bit. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a job, actually. Oh! Instant later, Daisuke screamed, "Katone!" Man had come up behind his wife and now held a kitchen knife to her throat. Katone stood stiffly, frozen in terror. Let her go. Took a step towards the man. Slightly upturned eyes, the close-cropped hair, the thin mustache. All the details matched the description. Had to be the man Tatsuno was after. Shut your damn mouth. Want to try to kill me, huh? This lady here wants to try and kill me. It's babbling nonsense. The suspect was a tweaker. Right now, his mind was probably a complete mess from meth withdrawal. Left unchecked, there was no telling what he might do. He shoved Daisuke behind him and drew his gun from his jacket. Don't shoot, you'll hit Katone. Ignored Daisuke's shouts and trained his gun on the perp's shoulder. Was confident in his marksmanship. He never missed at this range. Tatsuno, please back down. I beg you, I can't. This isn't something we can reason with him. Again, waving his knife about, he could stab it into Katone any moment. Ugh. Had to take the shot now. He aimed for the shoulder of the arm. The man held his knife in. Tatsuno's eyes met Katone's. He thought he saw her give a tiny nod. Oh, Papa. It was all over in an instant. By the time Tatsuno had the perp subdued, Katone's white shirt was soaked through with red. With Katone's death, so too died Tatsuno's heart. Whatever feelings he had lived inside him had been reduced to cinders, leaving only a never-ending need to atone. Countless times he thought about ending his life in order to make things up to Daisuke and his children. The only reason he didn't go through with it was that he knew death would be the easy way out. Stayed on as a detective. Carried the weight of his sins with him as long as he lived. This was the sentence Tatsuno gave himself. Years have passed since Katone's death. For the first time, Tatsuno had gotten to visit her grave. Standing by the grave marker with his hands clasped when someone called out to him from behind. Excuse me. Suzune, I think. Yeah. She looked just like Katone had back in their high school days. Did you know my mother? Yes, we were classmates a long time ago. Thank you so much for coming. Gave her a slight bow, then gazed up at Tatsuno with her big bright eyes. You look just like her. Tried to struggle to hold back the tears. As if Katone stood before him, returned to life. Father tells me the same thing all the time. Once you're all grown up, you'll be just as beautiful as she was. A forlorn smile came to Suzune's face. Once I'm grown up. I don't think that's gonna happen, because I really do have a lot of common with my mother, including the part where I'm gonna die young. Don't be ridiculous. Why would you say such a horrible thing? My apologies, I didn't mean to startle you. It's alright. Honestly, it's not something I'd like to talk about myself, but I'm sick, so there's not really anything I can do to change it. Sick. I have a heart condition. Transplant is the only thing that can help me, but my blood type is a little weird. Doesn't look like they'll be able to find me a compatible donor. We'll attack a transplanted organ which can result in the organ failing or functioning poorly. Mitigate risk of rejection. Have matching body tissue. Characteristics such as blood type and pre-sensitized antibodies must be screened ahead of time. Stepped in front of the gravestone and claps her hands in silence. Felt a retching pain inside him, as if Katone was being taken from him all over again. Really was a god. Why would he do such dreadful things? Is there nothing I can do? He nearly lamented aloud. Do anything, Suzune. Do whatever I have in order to save you. Clenched his fist as he stared at the grave. Tell me, Kotone. What can I possibly do for your daughter? Tell me, please. And so, months rolled on. Everything changed just after 10 o'clock that morning. Tatsuno was on the stakeout when his cell phone rang. Glanced at the call display and saw Daisuke Endo's name. He haven't heard from Daisuke in years now. Something had happened to Suzune. Answered a call despite his current tense circumstances. Heard Daisuke wailing. Suzune had a seizure. She might not come back from this one. Terrible suspicions had been right on the mark. He felt himself growing weak. Please. You need to shoot that girl that you're with at Hitomi Osawa. Shoot her in the head. If we have her heart, we can save Suzune. How does he know that Hitomi Osawa has bomb blue? First, Tatsuno couldn't make sense of what Daisuke was saying. Hurry up and shoot. Shoot her, please. Has the Bombay blood type. Want me to kill Hitomi Osawa? Why? Are you nearby? Wait, where are you? Don't worry about that. If you can just render her brain dead, we'll be able to transport her heart into Suzune. State where the entire brain, including the brainstem, is beyond any recovery. Defined by Article 6 on Act of Organ Transplantation, brain death can only be declared with the goal of authorizing a transplant. Subject to the judgment of at least 2 doctors inspecting the patient according to preset process at least 6 hours apart. Shooting someone in the head didn't necessarily guarantee they'll wind up brain dead, even if it did. If Tatsuno shot the Osawa girl right here in the middle of the scramble, it would cause a giant incident. The time the autopsy was completed, the window for a heart transplant would surely have passed. Shoot her, please. Can't. You know I can't do that. Hurry. Like his old friend wasn't even listening to him. Even if she did wind up brain dead, they wouldn't be able to perform a transplant. It's fine. It'll be fine. I'll make the transplant work somehow. I'll make it work? Even knowing how ridiculous that was, part of Tatsuno wanted to know what he had in mind, if anything. I finally found it. I found something we can do for Suzune. Please, let me help her. Understood Daisuke's feelings painfully well. To be helpless to stop the suffering of someone you loved. Nothing in the world hurt as much as that. I want to save Suzune. Tatsuno, this is the one thing I will ever ask of you. Sounds something inside him shifted. Yes. Daisuke was right. The likelihood of a transplant happening wasn't the issue. What mattered was that right now he could take action. He could do something for Suzune. He mustered up his resolve, feeling the doubt lift from his heart. For Suzune. or the daughter of the woman he loved. Fuck. Tatsuno checked the gun tucked inside his jacket and slowly began making his way through the crowd towards Hitomi. Now you know why we're here. Kato's own gun wavered in his hands. He was crying inside. There's nothing else he wanted to hear from Tatsuno now. Sure of one thing. Words were never going to stop this man. Kano. At my age, I've seen all the sorts of young detectives come and go. He fixed his lonesome gaze on Kano. You're about the worst of the lot. Whenever it's time to take action, you immediately do something reckless. Do you know how many formal apologies I had to write because of you? Tatsuno let out a heavy sigh. But you know, Kano, because of the way you looked up to me, you saved me. And that's the truth. It sounded like a man speaking his last words. Come on, see if you can stop me. Press the gun harder against Maria's temple. Took aim at his former hero's head. Detective Tatsuno. His finger wavered on the trigger. Shoot him. You have to shoot him. If you don't shoot him, Maria's going to die. He tried desperately to convince himself. I'm going to stop you. Looked him coldly in the eye. Do it then. Shoot me. Stared right back. Tightening his finger on the trigger. You're gonna do the to be continued there? Okay, I guess, okay. Fuck, okay. Freaking cliffhanger, okay. Minarikawa, what you got? Fucking hell. Let these scumbags kill his daughter. Readied his pen and signed a document. Now we're talking. Pick it up, Chiaki snatched it from the desk. I'm not letting you do this. What the hell are you doing? You tried to force Chiaki's mouth open. Don't you dare, you bitch. Chiaki managed to gulp the wall of paper down. Oh, that's not good for you. You did not just do that. So we gotta get a new contract from the office boss. As many as you want. I'll just keep eating them. Some damn goat or something. Mental image of a goat eating paper is a common one dating back to long ago when paper was solely made of plant material. Eat modern paper at a chemically treated pulp would go undigested and possibly cause an intestinal blockage. Please do not feed paper to goats. Shove Chiaki up against the desk. Cut it out. That hurts. Planting one of her hands atop the TV remote. Volume up button. Loud. Sound from the television set soon hit max volume. The identity of the victim killed in the explosion. Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical executive. Shibuya resident. Toyama didn't live in Shibuya. Once again, victim of the explosion was Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka. Cause of the explosion remains unknown. The police are still in the process of following up several potential leads. Site of the incident remains an alarming scene with relief workers continuing to attend to the wounded. 4 people in the editing office spoke in near unison. Huh? Who's Tanaka? So yeah, he faked his death. Come on. Oh. We're that close to the end, I guess. Okay. Goddamn. Right, because Maria no longer has Maria's story's done. It's 5 o'clock. Fuck. Running out of time.